Hey guys, this is Beth McKenna, the newest MILF in porn, and you're listening to Tommy Throwback Kovac on Splat from the Past. I can't believe Tommy's wanking. Now that's customer service.
Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things could get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming yet another in a long line of new Twitter MILF porn stars, Mistress Erikka. Mistress Erikka actually seeked me out for an interview. I had seeked out Beth McKenna and Leilani Lai, recently, but Mistress Erikka seeked me out, and we had a nice little talk on Twitter Messenger, and she was actually in the mainstream entertainment industry before porn, and she's got some great stories she told me. So I'm going to have her on today to talk about that, and I can't wait. She's also gorgeous and sexy too, and we're going to have a great chat. So yeah, here is my interview with Mistress Erikka.
Hello, Tommy.
Hey, Erikka. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing fairly well. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but...
Neither did I.
And then, you wake up, and you have something coming up. You wake up automatically before you put the alarm down. So it's kind of impromptu, and things can go horribly, horribly wrong, but little faith, and we'll get there.
Yeah, I didn't get enough sleep, too. I've been drinking just way too much coffee lately, but I feel good.
That's what I've been doing, yeah.
Yeah, I feel good, and I'm hard as a rock, and I'm ready to go.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Yes. So we talked an awful lot in Twitter messaging. You mentioned that long before porn, you were in the mainstream industry.
I was, yes.
Yes, do tell.
Oh, it's such an interesting story, and I just have to add recently, because so much, people in the adult industry are starting to know who I am. I'm starting to pick up some more visibility. And I get a text from a friend of mine. We had done a play back maybe 12, 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a text from him. He's a fairly well-known actor. He's, been in a lot of stuff. And he goes, in the text, he goes, "Is that you in that film?" And I text him back. And I go, "What film is that?" And I think I had an idea. And we hadn't chatted in over a year. There's certain colleagues of mine that I've kept in touch with, and there's some that I haven't.
Yeah.
You just kind of separate. And it's like that in any industry, any job. So he texts me back, and it's like, "Erikka deep throats and swallows, takes a cum facial, blah, blah, blah." The whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And there's stuff in our industry. And I go, "Yes, it is me." And so it was a very good conversation. And one of our mutual friends, who was another fairly well-known actor. I mean, he's kind of faded, and then he's come back, wrote a sex script, pulled it. And I think as time goes on, I've been teasing people a little bit, like on Twitter. I haven't really wanted to go there because, A, I don't need to pick up any more stalkers.
Yeah.
I don't like that, but I think it's all going to come out, once this pandemic is over with. And I was really shooting maybe the end of the month, but okay, we'll get more back into that later.
Yeah.
But not to get off subject of what we're talking about right now. So, at first I go, does so and so know about this? Who of us, from the cast and everything. And he goes, "Well, actually, it was him who told me about it, and this person watches a lot of porn." And I ran into him at Bill Margold's memorial, and I'll get more into that later as well.
Mm-hmm.
Might even need time for a second podcast. We'll see how we do here.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like, okay, here we are, and I figured it would be kind of interesting. I checked your stuff out, and I noticed you I don't want to get off track. I may have ADD, so if you could hook me up with any Ritalin, please,
Yeah. I have Asperger's.
I'm not politically correct as well, so I figured it would be kind of interesting. So let's get back into that. And he goes, well, it was him that told me about it. And I was like, oh, shit. And so it's like to be expected, because I know a lot of girls who get into the industry, they're counseled. I was before, I ever did anything, even worked as a dominatrix. They said, eventually people are going to go find out. It's such widespread, and hey, there's a very long backstory to that that's kind of interesting, but I think to stay focused, I think the turn started right around the financial crisis of 2008. And I think many people have a horror story going back to that. I mean, much less to what's going on right now, because right now is brutal. Later on we'll talk about the pandemic, but a lot of jobs that I was getting, whether it was as a writer, to come in, do some touch-ups, it's cool. You go in, you're with your friends who are colleagues as well, and you rearrange a screenplay and make this part, take this scene over here and make it more interesting. And a lot of his jobs started drying up. And the winter previous, there was a Writers Guild strike. After all this hard work, I finally get into the Writers Guild, and voila, you got a strike and you can't cross that line. So I had a independent film, and I was doing a little world tour. I had to promote that, and I had to do a lot more work because I had a falling out with that producer. And as time went on, and a lot of my colleagues were not working, it went in from 08 into 09, and raising money, which, say maybe a few short years prior, it was very easy to raise, funds, and stuff that, not to sound too cocky, but I could do it in my sleep. It was that easy, and a lot of people, they could get a tax write-off by doing it, and so once stuff started really drying up, the economy was really horrible. So I'd always had a lot of connections in the adult industry, be it the BDSM, the porn industry. I'd known Bill Margold for many years. And for a long time, he'd always say, kid, I'm not going to let you do it. And he was always proud of what I'd done, as a, actor and a filmmaker. So, and before that, I'd started off as a model. Mainstream, I did some fashion print, commercial print back in the 90s. So what's going into next year, I have to survive this pandemic, because next year is going to be my 30th year in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And a milestone birthday towards the end of this year. So
awesome.
Yeah. So and 5 years without alcohol. So we have to
for me too.
This pandemic here.
Yeah, 5 years sober for me too, following my car accident.
Yeah, it's so that's a milestone. I still love the trip. I try to make good use of the cannabis plant. I think it's really essential during this time period that we're in. Yeah. But I think everybody's different. I think everybody has their own standard for sobriety, and everybody has their outlet.
Yeah.
But, getting back into mainstream as a woman, you want to get into producing, you want to get in behind the scenes, because you want to have a lot of more control, kind of like what a lot of talents in porn is doing right now. They're taking control of their product.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sexism you're going to deal with. Beginning, I thought, you know what, I could rise above it. And this is going back to spring of 01. I was at a film festival, and there was this after party. And I was sitting down, I was talking to Robert Forster, He was great. He was a real class act.
I heard, yeah.
He came from an older generation, but he goes, yeah, in this town, it's very hard on women. And the sexism is unreal. And, I was much younger then.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, again, you're still a cocky kid, and I can rise above it. You think that. You think, because you're younger, and you think you're invincible, and you're not.
Mm-hmm.
As time goes on. So, you live and you learn. You work a little bit, you don't work a little bit, which can be very... What's the word I'm looking for? It can be very taxing on the soul. You're sitting around the pool just doing absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go a little cray-cray doing that, and then you work on other projects, and then you're occupied for maybe 3 months, and then, but it's definitely a test of the psyche. And I think since I've moved into adult, I'm amazed at how soon the product comes out.
Mm-hmm.
You do a mainstream film, you don't see that for almost a year, depending on what kind of budget, how long it is, or at least 6 months. Let's go back to that. And people are just cranking it out, like within the next week. Oh, it's on ManyVids. It's on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, I've had to make a lot of adjustments in doing that. And but going back into that, I used my connection and landed a spot at Sanctuary LAX.
Mm-hmm.
I worked as a house dom, and the person who I was with did not like me. I'm branded as a switch.
Mm-hmm.
And did not like me subbing in public.
Yeah.
And I think when you get into this industry, if you have, say, a significant other or partner, that can be problematic if one person, wants to put their hands in it when you're trying to earn a living.
Mm-hmm.
And, whether I'm submitting to another woman, or I'm definitely like another, that jealous thing. So, and I remember as I was working there, my first day was like the first day of school,
Yeah.
I showed up with my latex, my black latex. Like, okay, I got to make a statement here. And day one is always about the first day. I guess if you go to prison, it's all about the first day. Yeah, and
yeah.
So I get into that, and the first week was really slow. I didn't pick up anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, the first day I go in there, I do the lineup. Clients in a waiting room, or he's in a meeting room. It's kind of small, like a little waiting room. And you walk in, you introduce yourself, and you let them know, I think I'm a dom or I'm a switch. And I would, being very unknown and just jumping into it, you have a lot to learn. You think you know a lot. You want to learn, and you want results. And I think that's a human nature to want results like right away. It doesn't work that way. And so after a while, I started scoring and started booking clients. And I thought, maybe I have something here. Maybe I'm on the right track. And at the same time, they were doing the webcamming for King.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this turned out to be a godsend at that time, because I was just rebounding. My mom was, at that time, dying. And at that time, I'd also relapsed, so I was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not a good thing, when you're stressed out like that. And so it was kind of like a rocky start. But the webcamming was easy, I'm taking Hitachi and, working myself over and, earning tips, but it's work. And I haven't done it in a while. And right now during the pandemic, it's like my head is not really been up for it.
Yeah.
You know, I need to go to my stylist, and I got to a point I got so bored I shaved one side of my head and I grew the other side out, and it looked really freakish. Now I'm starting to grow that out, and hopefully soon I can get cleaned up and get ready to shoot again.
Yeah. So tell me about when you were a dominatrix, because I used to date a dominatrix, and I got good stories there too.
Oh God, yes, do tell when you're ready. Okay, so my first client, and by the way, I wrote a script about my first year in the fetish industry. It's really fucking rad, but
yeah.
But later, you know, it's easy to get off track. So here we go. And Beth knows that I had dinner with her, and I kept getting like off track, and that was not cool. And, my first client looked like Ron Paul or Marshall Applewhite, if you remember him, the cult leader.
Yeah.
And I interviewed with him. So what are you into? What are you interested in? And he's been a client there for quite a while. And I was the only dom there. And he says very matter-of-factly, I want to have my bottom reddened. And it was a very short session. It was like, this is morning time, like around 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then he had his favorite pair of shoes and stockings that he liked to put on, and no, he didn't put the makeup on, but you know, in the dress and everything. I was like, okay. And I put him in some arm restraints and started working him a little bit, and it was a paddling scene. So I had this wooden paddle, and at first, you know, I do in my techniques. I do a warm up, and he said, "Can you go any harder?" I'm like, "I'm gonna do the warm up with you." And he taught me from the bottom, and trust me, I will take you to the promised land. Don't worry about that. And so the session went pretty well. You know, earned a tip, and you know, that's when I first got on the Twitter, but I wasn't really active on it. And
yeah,
you know, it's gone on times where I don't even log on. I don't even check. And but now things are very different.
Yeah. So I dated this dominatrix. She had not been one for a while. She actually did it during her college days to make extra money. And we had like a mutual friend connection and stuff, you know. And she would tell me all these things that she did. She would like piss and shit on guys and whip them and do all these different things, right? But like when we did sexual things, you know, they were freaky, but not freaky like a dominatrix style stuff, you know. She used to love it. Like she would like to take a nice walk late at night in the park, and I would like lay her gently on my jacket and then finger bang her. That was like her thing, you know. That's what she liked doing the most. And I remember the first time she kissed me, it was because I told her that, you know, when I was in high school, I used to masturbate into donuts and then eat them. And that was the moment she knew that I was the right guy for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure.
And so it ended very awkwardly and abruptly about a year and a half later and stuff. But like we would do things like we would drink bottles of wine, watching like really crazy movies, and smoke a little weed, and you know, just have butt sex in the middle of it. It was fun stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I miss her. She was like my favorite of all the girls I dated. Yeah.
Well, I mean, us dogs are very skilled. I mean, we're very creative, and I think all creative people know how to think outside the box. I think you know you can relate to that. And, yeah.
You mentioned in the Twitter message that you had a Harvey Weinstein story.
Well, yeah, I've crossed his path a few times, and one time was at the Toronto Film Festival 04, and I found them to be very obnoxious. And
Yeah.
there was another time. There was another time at Cannes, and ironically, it was at the premiere of Wanted and Desired, and that was the documentary about Roman Polanski. And again, he what is he, about maybe 6 feet? And his girth, and because of who he is,
Yeah.
he has very aggressive body language.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you just get, there's certain people you get certain vibes about, and he's one of them. And, you know, it's really funny. I officially moved out here. I've been in and out of LA for quite a number of years as a model coming out here in the 90s, but oh God, I've lost my train of thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of who he is and using very aggressive body language. And one of my friends, who was a writer, she was in a meeting with him. And this was before a lot came out. Oh, you know what? I just remember what I was thinking. I was at a gallery opening, and it was Paul Sorvino's work. And he was doing a lot of sculptures, you know, boxers, and
Yeah.
he was an Italian guy from Brooklyn, I think.
Yep.
Very nice man. I know at that time he looked very...
I met him once,
tired.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice guy. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I met him like 2 years ago, so he's got health issues, and
Yeah, now he does, yeah.
he looked very exhausted and stuff. It was at a horror convention, but yeah, he seemed all right to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, his daughter was not working. He didn't hear from her.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't see her or hear from her. And I didn't think, I was wondering, you know, you didn't see that much of her. And then once all the stories and all the accusations came out,
Mm-hmm.
everything started to ring up like a computer. And you're like, okay, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
And getting into what my friend went into, she was in a meeting, everybody was around the table. You know, a lot of people were there, and Harvey Weinstein is in the meeting. And he walks over to her, gets her up, and she thinks, okay, this is like my first really big break, and he's going to introduce me. He moves her sideways and goes, now with an ass like that, we have to get her on board. And when I heard that, and this is quite a few years before all the accusations came out, I was like, are you fucking serious about this?
Yeah.
And I've worked for some producers who are just, you know, whether they're some that I've butted heads with, whatever, but
Yeah.
It goes, you know, there's power trips that go on, and, you know, there is that hierarchy on a production. I would say now, looking back, I would not want to be doing what I was doing 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I went to a premiere. It was a horror film. I think it was a Clowns or something. And it was at the Fine Arts Theater, and I hadn't been there. The last time I was there was I was on the stage doing a Q&A after a screening, but I ran into even when I was walking over to the theater that evening, I was running into colleagues that I hadn't seen in like 10, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
So and they're like, how are you doing? You know, I had a different look, and I was like, are you still cranking it out? I'm like, yeah, you know, cranking it out. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm cranking it out in a very different way now, but still cranking it out. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, yeah, it was back in 2018, I did my first non-pornographic film in quite some time, and it's in post right now. And as time goes on, I'll talk more about it. But
Right.
I was having, say, maybe 8 or 9 months before, having a meeting, and with a friend of mine and she was having this film project. And she got me on board. And the weirdest thing on the set was when people were exchanging social medias, I was very careful, like, which one, because I was like, I don't want people, I was like, I don't really have an Instagram, being that I was bullshitting, which I do, but it's like, they don't need to see that. I'm around the vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I forget where I'm at. I can be casually having a conversation, and I'm talking about blah, 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 and this, and I got to be careful. You know, you just, maybe it shouldn't even be that way. Here we are 20 years into the 21st century, and people are still freaked out about BDSM and porn.
Yeah.
They all watch it.
I know, it's weird. But, so you initially got into porn because of the recession?
I think it led to it, but I thought, you know, maybe I've had the opportunity to do it at a younger age, and I'm glad I didn't do it at a younger age, because I don't think I would have been mature enough to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've seen certain girls, and I've seen what direction they're going, and I know Bill Margold was very adamant. He wanted to change it where I think girls had to be at least 21. He wanted to raise the age. Because at 19, I don't think. Do you really know what you want to do with your life when you're 19? I mean, I didn't.
I kind of did, but not really.
Even if you think you do, you really don't. That's my opinion about that. But.
Yeah. So, before you got into porn, had you always been a sexual person?
I think so. I mean, I've been in certain situations and certain things that kind of brought it out. And when I was in my early 20s, I was dating this woman who was around my age and had a look similar to me, and that I have now. And you know, I was a young girl, and I went to the swingers club. I'm trying to remember what it was. That first time, I kind of froze. I wasn't waiting for it. And I'd done a few things, but I was like, I walked in there and it was like all these guys have their dicks out, and you know, it's when you haven't been exposed to it, you have to when you're getting in the pool, you have to acclimate your body to the water, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so as time went on, you know, you start to realize things, and you become comfortable in your skin, and so yeah, I found myself in opportunities, and then, you know, with the internet coming out, you know, you look at things and you meet like-minded people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's either you have or you don't. You know, as I've stated this on other shows, and as I've started talking more about it, I mean, I have that ability because I work a lot as a switch.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see me do it on stage, you know, as a performance artist, man, I think it looks pretty fucking cool. You know, and to take that energy when people are used to seeing me like in leather and the corset, and then to see me in the collar, and you know, it's called range, and I have a.
Mm-hmm. How old were you when you lost your virginity?
I think losing my virginity, 18, but
Same here.
you know, I sucked my first cock when I was 13, you know, and I was in a situation, and honestly, I wasn't expecting that salty, syrupy treat to be coming up in my mouth, and it just, I was quite a surprise.
Yeah, I was 18 too. I did it with my high school guidance counselor.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, it was the night of my
Congratulations.
Thanks. It was the night of my high school graduation, and I had just turned 18 the week before, and I didn't expect it at all, but it was fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. I've always been a naughty, naughty boy.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to be able to express that. And I think there's a lot of people who are very afraid of themselves, and I think a lot of people, they hold back. I think it's very unhealthy.
I think so too. I don't think that a lot of people necessarily hold back. I think that, they have a public image that they need to keep up. That's why we keep finding out about these sex scandals, Me, I put everything out in the open just in case there is a sex scandal.
Same here now.
Just in case someone tries to cause a sex scandal, people won't be surprised and they know that I'm a good person.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't get stupid shit like that. Is there anything that you won't do in porn?
I think, I'm not a big fan of the POV, and being a dom, also, even though I work as a split, I don't think I'll put myself where I'm, like, completely dominated, where I'm humiliated. And I think, because I listened to the other one, and I think Beth has said the same thing, and, there's certain areas where, hey, I will go that way. But then there's I think we all have our certain limits, and being newer, and it's not like I just arrived. I mean, I saw it back in 2017 that were more trade content, and you just kind of experiment. But I wasn't really ready to go full time back then. I think you kind of have to either way if you're going to go into it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed because I'm seeing, as I've gotten into it kind of as an older woman now, I think definitely, much more comfortable in my skin. And I'm seeing a lot of other, women my age and much older, and it's like, wow, you're rocking it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. There's some amazing ladies out there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, having Beth on and Leilani, you all three of you are very down to earth, and, you didn't have to go through what a lot of porn stars had to go through in the 80s, with cocaine and just sexism and all that bullshit. All three of you are very down to earth and very humble.
Yeah, I think our backgrounds have a lot to do with that. Getting to know a lot of the earlier stars and the legends from that time period.
Mm-hmm.
And many who are still around, they've sobered up, and they've told me the stories and what it was like back then. And I'm glad a lot of the older ones have been very supportive of me and my career. And I do talk with them and chat with them, and I've had some who have kind of mentored me a little bit too, and I think that helps.
It does, yeah. I mean, I've talked to Christy Canyon, and I think she's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I've never met her.
Yeah. Well, Beth knows her, and yeah. I mean, just in that time, it was a crazy time. I mean, porn was still pretty much considered legal, and police were raiding sets, and it was a hush kind of business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody watched them on the VHS back then, but and to add to that, Bill would tell me that if they were shooting a scene, they would tell the talent, have your clothes nearby because we may just make it rated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But my how times have changed, because what we're doing now, and I mean, just to add to the part, I know here in California, cannabis is legal. I walk my dog down Sunset in a joint, Imagine that.
Yeah.
Great time to be living in. As turbulent as it is, it's still a great time.
It is. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of crazy shit, but it's a really good time, Have you done stuff with Leilani and Beth?
I haven't shot with her. I've traded a few I think, tweets and whatnot. She's in Florida, and I'm in LA right now. So
Yeah.
And until things clear up, I'm not going to travel.
Oh yeah.
I've had a lot of things for this year canceled. I'm lucky that I have a lot of other things that I have to fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's another reason. Beth, who's been an attorney, I think we've had other things to fall back on, or come from a different background. So I think that shapes who we are. But I know there's a lot of people shooting right now, and I wonder, even if you're COVID testing, I mean, this virus is tricky.
It's very tricky. Yeah, I got tested for it back in May. It was the most uncomfortable feeling in the world, having that Q-tip up my nose.
Yeah, exactly. And, the uncertainty, because even if you make say an allegedly full recovery of this virus,
mm-hmm.
It hasn't been around long enough. Do we really know what the long-term effects are going to be?
I don't think so.
There's, people can, who knows? And I mean, the closest thing, right on the onset, and it's funny, I was joking, I said, the only thing that's going to stop me from, having my breakout year is going to be this virus, and then a few weeks later, fuck it, everything's getting canceled, and here we are.
Yeah. I just don't know what's going to happen and stuff, and I'm in a bad situation. My mother had an accident a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Very sorry.
And few people know about it, and few people are even fucking responding and shit, because, I mean, it's a combination of them being mad at her for her being stupid, and then just them being self-absorbed, in their world, of COVID. It's sad,
Exactly. Yeah.
It's really sad.
Very sorry. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. But do you masturbate a lot?
Sometimes. I know my partner loves watching me, and he loves, watching, me fuck other guys and other girls, and I think that's why I'm really starting to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
I think, having that, blessing. He's a civilian, and I'm very supportive of my career. And it's like, I think it's gonna, I haven't done it as much, but I mean, that's gonna probably be my legacy now. And you know what? I'm very cool with it. But I think the time that we live in helps it. And I don't know if this was the 90s or the 80s, and I doubt at my age I would be working because of what it was like back then. I mean, after a certain age, I don't think they hired too many models.
Yeah, fucking just ageism. Just it needs to be illegal. It really does.
Yeah, like sexism and racism and the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you like to watch your partner?
I do. Because in private, we have great chemistry, and then he does love watching my content, and I know now there's stuff all over the net. I can just it's been cut and recut already, and there's an interesting story to that box cover.
Mm-hmm.
Because going back into last year, I know Beth and I have been shadow dancing a little bit on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's ours from nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was shooting a little bit of content, not a lot, and I was mainly co-hosting these live BDSM events. I was like, man, I'm doing well in that and some other things. So it's like, for me to shoot content, it's just, I really wasn't up for it.
Yeah.
And unless the ball was thrown my way. And so I get a call for this, they want to shoot a mature, and my agent, okay, you have to get the cutting edge testing. Mm-hmm. And I only had a short amount of time, so I'm hoping to win. I'm just like, I am like doing 90, weaving in and out. We made it in time, got the test, submitted the photos, and I was in, and then we shot on a Sunday, and it was early in the morning. I shot with Jay Crew. He was a great male talent to work with. Mm-hmm. And he shot a really hot scene, and it's really helped. People give me some visibility.
Mm-hmm.
I went out on that.
He was a gentleman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just super wet right now.
All right. That's what we were working for. The wetness.
Yeah. I think it's about time for some teamwork. Yeah, I'm like the master of finger bangs and toe sucking. That's like my narrative in the bedroom.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've always been that way.
Yeah, feet have their they do have their erotic outlet.
I always say, if you're a toe sucker, you're a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I've been saying that for years. Years and years. Are you super wet right now?
I'm getting there. I've been like walking, pacing back and forth, and again, hey, how is this? You wake up and you go, how is this podcast going to go? And I'm like, well, I'm fairly experienced, and
well, I use sweet and gentle persuasion.
Yeah.
I like to be very nurturing to my guests and make them comfortable as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
That's just who I am. Do you think I'm cute at all?
Yes.
What makes me cute?
I have to go look at your. I'm not in front of my computer right now at the moment.
That's what Leilani said, and then she had to go look.
I'm like upstairs, my partner's downstairs working from home, and at the same time I have my poly situation, and one is battling cancer. That's another reason why I just haven't.
I'm sorry.
Done any camming, which I was gonna, get back into, and making, even like solo content from home, because it's like, people don't need to see me stressed out or anything like that. So, just wait until everything, gets back to maybe even semi, and then we'll go from there. Mm-hmm. I'll give everybody their money's worth.
Yeah. I love pre-cum. It is the best.
It's the prequel to the cum, the pre-cum.
Oh, that was awesome. Whew, I don't smoke, but I need a cigarette.
Somebody give this boy a cigarette.
Are you ready to play my secret silly game?
Your secret silly game. Let's see. What do we have?
Okay, so I played with Beth and Leilani. This is a series of silly slumber party questions, and how this works is I ask you the question, you answer it, and then you ask me that exact same question, and I answer it.
Perfect. Okay, let me see if I can
okay.
Get this again. Fire away.
Erikka, are you ticklish?
I think so. Are you ticklish?
I am baby ticklish. Yeah. I give a knee-jerk reaction if someone tickles me.
I think I'm the same way, yeah. I've done some tickling scenes, and yeah.
Is your belly button an innie or an outie?
I'm an innie. What about you?
I'm a very deep innie.
Nice.
Yeah. That's where the jizz goes. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, the jizz pot.
Exactly.
Totally.
What color are your toenails painted right now?
They're not painted at the moment because I haven't really had the need to. They kind of grew out. I painted them back in March. They were red.
Mm-hmm.
And they just, finally I said, you know what? Until I get back to work, I'm not going to paint them.
Yeah. And for me, they are au naturel. Last time I did paint them, they were purple with sparkles.
Oh, nice. I love guys who paint their toenails and their fingernails. Something about that. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. I mean, I've been painting mine.
I have my own little quirks. I'm a quirk girl, so yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I've been painting mine since I was 13.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah, it took my parents a while to accept it, but now they do. What would you say is your best personality trait?
What is my best personality trait?
Mm-hmm.
My best one. I know I have some bad ones. I think I'm a caring person. I care about people, and yes, I do have that compassionate component in me.
I can see that. You definitely do have that. For me, it's my sense of...
What's your best... I forgot to. A little brain freeze there. What is your best personality trait?
It's either my sense of empathy or the fact that I have no filter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, a lot of people like that balance.
Yeah, it's a great balance.
Mm-hmm. How old were you the first time you got finger banged?
No, the first time I got finger banged, I think I just turned 17.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I was 12 the first time I fingered a girl, and I was 17 the first time that I got a prostate milking.
How old were you when you got a prostate milking?
17.
17? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Started young.
Oh, yeah. And that guy is now a transgender.
Uh-huh.
I was hoping he was going to be at our 10-year high school reunion. Went from Michael to Michelle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
never showed up, unfortunately. And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
I think there are. I mean, obviously poop. I mean, that's not, a very pleasant smell. I totally detest scat. I know there's certain foods that'll make me gag. I know, like, mayo will make me gag.
Oh, yeah. Hate mayo.
I hate that shit. That is so fucking nasty. I don't know. It's going off on something.
Yeah, that is disgusting. I hate mayo. For me, it's either farts or feet that hasn't been cleaned.
Yeah. And you know what? Now that you mentioned that, clients that come in and they specifically want your dirty, stinky feet. I don't get it, but if they come in for a session, so be it. I'll make them dirty and as stinky as I can.
Oh.
You know it. Yeah.
There's a, what's her name? Jane Widlin of the Go-Go's. She's she's very much into the fetishism scene, and she
I did not know that.
Yeah, she actually lets guys smell her feet, I imagine her feet would smell like perfume and sweat, and that's as far as I would like it to go, because I would smell them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sweat and perfume is one thing, but, like, stinky, like, unwashed socks, kind of, that's pretty rank.
Yeah.
Rancid.
Yeah. I got some jokes for you.
Okay.
You know the difference between a golf ball and a G-spot?
What is the difference between a golf ball and a G-spot?
A man will spend 20 minutes looking for a golf ball.
That is spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
a
spot on. How quite apropos.
I'm a rare exception though.
Mm.
I've got the kung fu grip. I got huge hands.
A kung fu grip. All right, we like that.
Yeah. How do you make your wife scream twice?
How do you make your life scream, John?
First you fuck her in the ass and then you wipe your dick on the curtain.
That would definitely garner a reaction.
Yeah, imagine the stain that would leave.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Clean up on aisle 5.
Clean up on aisle 5. Oh my God. Yeah, so that's awesome though that you at least you got to experience, the mainstream world of entertainment first, and got some
Yeah.
experience. I mean, that is crazy. Yeah, and yeah, I can't believe just how fucking insanely prolific Weinstein is,
Yeah, he's gonna be extradited out here to L.A. And he's been, because of his case in New York, and yeah, I mean, when these women came out, I was like, I believe them. And then a lot of people and other people were saying, oh, why did they wait so long? Well, you don't. If you're in a position where your career can be just thrown right out the window at will, what are you going to do? You're going to play ball, and you're going to want to protect your own interests.
Yeah, the joke I have, I say, yeah, all the women who gave in to him and had sex to be successful, they're all keeping quiet, for their own self-interest. But let's find them and make them producers because I need help in my career.
Yeah.
That's my joke. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I have an interesting story. It's not really a joke, but it's kind of interesting. Or you'll be on the floor at the end.
Okay.
Okay, that couple in St. Louis that was pointing the guns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wake up in the morning. I check my social media. I just scroll down. I'm on my phone, and I saw a picture of her, and I thought,
yeah.
Wow, they're going to make a movie about Karen. We've seen all the viral videos coming out.
Yeah.
And I go, wow, Uma Thurman, the makeup's impressive. The weight gain is incredible. And I scroll down. I go, this is the most anti-Kill Bill you can do. And most actresses, what they want to do is they want to part. Their dream job, their dream role is to part with the vanity.
Mm-hmm.
We love doing that. And so I check my social media maybe a few hours later, and I see a movie poster, Tarantino. I called it right. Like Karen and Ken, and it shows the husband, and I thought, is this John C. Reilly? But John C. Reilly wouldn't be doing a Tarantino film. And so I scroll down. I don't think that much of it. I go, well, I don't need variety like I used to.
Yeah.
I don't really need to, but I look at that and then I see a few other ones, and the fonts are a little bit different. I go, well, gee, that's peculiar.
Yeah.
When you're marketing it, usually you'll have different movie posters, but the fonts don't really change that much. And
yeah,
it eats into the budget. So I see it a few more times and a few more of that, and then I go home and I just happen to be looking at the news. For the most part, it's very difficult to look at the news at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already started getting lit. I was experimenting with a new strain, and I saw that, and I go, oh my fucking God. I just got fucking punked by nature,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. And, well, that was a very tripped out moment, really recent.
Yeah.
It's funny now, like,
yeah.
I just see, And,
yeah, crazy.
It's a very turbulent time.
It is. What are you going to do for the rest of your day?
For the rest of my day, I have to do some vanilla work online and go to the dispensary and do a post office run. Very boring, and then maybe add some stuff on OnlyFans, and I'll connect with some people on Twitter.
I have post-traumatic stress disorder from post offices. I was homeless for like 4 years. Me and my mother, we had to get the hell out of the Bay Area. We had a P.O. box, and there was always constantly friggin', getting it renewed every 3 to 6 months or whatever it was. And it's just, I hope I don't have to go through it again in the future. I hope God lets us stay here longer, even with, her accident that happened and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember in 2014, it was a little bit in 13 too, my mom said, let's get passports just in case we have to leave and go to Europe. And at this point, it looks like we may have to do that.
Yeah. Once this stuff clears up, and who knows what's gonna happen. Wait to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting time, but it's a very fucked up time.
It is, but let's all hope for the best, and
that's what I'm doing. That's all we can do.
Mm-hmm. And you did very well today, Erikka. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We made it.
Yeah.
We made it. You like me. You really like me.
Yes,
I have to do a Sally Field right there.
Yeah. Oh, I do that all the time. Yeah.
If I go to the AVN and win anything, whenever that is from my category, I'll pull a Sally Field.
Yeah.
Just to be an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not afraid to tell people how much I like them and stuff, and I do like you a lot. You are a good person. I can see that.
Oh, thank you. I am a good person.
You are. Well, you have yourself a great day, and I will see you on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Have a great one.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Mistress Erikka. Ain't she a sweetheart? She is awesome. And she's been through a lot, and she's gone through many, many valleys, and in the world of porn, she will come and she will triumph. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes!